So we have opened up Photoshop, which you will find down in your menu bar down here, and this is what it looks like. And when you first open Photoshop, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you need to know. One is probably when you first open it, the tools, which are over here on the left, will look like this. And you'll see a little double arrow right here, and you click on it and it should bring your tools together so they look more like this, which is the normal way that we're used to seeing them. Then the other thing that I want you to notice is on all of the tools, they have in the corner down here, they have a little tiny, it's not quite an arrow, it's more of a little triangle. When there's a triangle, what you do is you hold it down, and that means there's other tools hidden there, right? So this one is the rectangular marquee, which I'll bring that back up. Whatever tool you end with, so if you end with this tool, that's the tool that will be showing up there. So it will be good for you to learn what all the tools are and what's underneath them all. So this is the marquee tool, and there's different, you see they're all called marquee, whether they're rectangular, elliptical, single, or single row or single column. Then the next tool is the move tool, and also you can always tell what tool is what by just holding your mouse over the tool and then for a minute, and then what will pop up is the name of the tool. So this is the move tool. If you hold down the move tool, you have the artboard tool and the move tool. Then if you go down to the polygon tool or the lasso, let's close that one. You can close them just by clicking on them, and you hold that one down, you'll see you have the lasso tool, the polygon, and the magnetic lasso. Again, if it's open, just click on it and it'll close. Then we have the quick selection tool, which also houses the magic wand tool. The other thing to notice is when you click on a tool, if you look up here, that is all of the different things that you can do in the tool to have it do things. So in other words, when you click on the quick selection, you can go up here and are there presets? You can plus, you can minus, you can change the size of the brush here. Sample all layers means, we'll get into that later. The move tool, you can auto select, you can show your transform, there's all kinds of things you can do with that. Same with the marquee tool. So each tool that you have does something different. So when you have time, just go through all of these tools to see which ones have what and what you're going to do with them. Today what we're going to be using is just a couple of the tools here. The first thing you need to do so you have a canvas is you go to File, then you go to New, and you click on New, and in this window the first thing you want to do is type your name, then underscore, and then your section. Just the number of your section, you don't need to write in section. And then we're going to call this Slate, S-L-A-T-E, and then underscore, and we can call this one 1 because you're going to be doing several of these. Then the next thing you want to do, document type, you can ignore that, but with the size, that's not highlighted, but what is width and height. You want to make sure that you're on pixels, and if you click on pixels, you'll see that you have a big lot of options. You have inches, centimeters, other things. Most of the time we'll work in pixels, sometimes we'll work in inches. So make sure that both of these are in pixels, and then the width will be 720 and the height will be 480. And then resolution we will keep at 300, and we want pixels per inch as opposed to centimeter. We'll stick with RGB color, which I will get into the difference between bitmap, grayscale, RGB, CMYK, and lab color later. And then you want to make sure that your background is transparent. You don't want white and you don't want a background color. And then say OK. Now what you have is your canvas. Now your canvas looks a little bit small. And you notice over here I have this window open, which I'm going to show you how to get to that. It's called the Navigator window. Click on Window and then find Navigator. Navigator is a tool I always have open because what it does is it helps me to navigate, which is why it's called the Navigator, within my window. So it's a really easy way to zoom in and out, as you can see, right? You have a little slider here, and you can also click this way. So you can slide it or you can click on the little mountains. Then what you can also do if you're really zoomed in is you can move the little red box around so you can get really close in. The other thing that you can do is you can use the magnifying glass or the zoom tool, which will zoom out if you have the minus selected here, or it will zoom in if you have the plus selected here. Okay, then another thing that you can do is you can also use your keyboard, which is Command plus. So I'm big on keyboard shortcuts. Command minus is zooming out. So you have multiple ways to do this. And part of the reason why I'm showing you so many ways to do something is that is the nature of Photoshop, is whatever you do, there's 5 different ways to do it. So there's not really a right or a wrong way to do anything in Photoshop. As long as you can get the job done, that's the thing that matters most. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the paintbrush tool. I'll show you what that does. These are the brushes up here, and you have you can kind of scroll through and see what brushes you have. So if you want just a regular brush, that would probably be this one. You can see the size of the brush. You can move the size of the brush this way by using the slider here. And you can also use it on your keyboard by, oops. You can also do it on your keyboard by using your brackets. So when you're, oh, it's not working. Sorry, there's a little glitch going on right now. There we go. Okay, so your brackets that are right next to your P on your keyboard also makes the brush go bigger or smaller. And if you want to undo something, this is a good time to show you the history palette. Because those of you who had me last year are very used to multiple undos, which Photoshop CC does not have. So you want to open your history palette, and the way that you undo is you have to actually go in there in the history palette and undo it. Okay, so now I have my brush, and I'm just going to do one brush stroke. Then I'm going to change the color here. I think I'll do an orange. So let me show you how I did that. So you click on these 2 little doodads here, which you can flip back and forth. You have foreground and you have background. Okay, foreground and background. And then if you want them to go back to black and white, you click on this and it brings it back to black and white, which is the default setting. So you can click on this and get any color you want, and then you can do whatever you want with it. Okay, so this is the layer that I have here, and this is what I've done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer, which is down here. There's like a little piece of paper. I'm going to click on that, and you can see the layer can go underneath or it can go on top. So I'm going to put this one, I want the new layer underneath because I'm going to do a gradient. So this is the gradient here, and the gradient tool, once you click on it, you'll see that you have this bar up here, and you have a choice. Now I've preloaded some pastel gradients, which I will show you how to do later. So we have the gradient, and once you pick your color, you click and drag the gradient across, and you will have a gradient. You can do it a few times so you can get the color you want or how you want it. You can also click these guys up here, which gives you a different type of gradient, where, in other words, where does it gradiate from? In this case, it's gradiating from around there, and this one gradiates from a circle. This one does a star, which is kind of hard to see. There's the star. This one, I believe, is horizontal or vertical. and then this is just a typical gradient. So there you have your gradients. Now I'm going to go back on this layer. This is the beauty of layers, is because these are separate and you can turn them off and turn them on with the eye. I'm going to do something to this top layer that will not affect the gradient layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into filters, and I just happen to know where my filter is, which is under distort. It's a twirl filter, which a lot of you already know that I love. So I'm going to click on the twirl filter. So basically what this does is this is what it's going to do, and I can close this, make this window smaller so I can see the whole thing, or I can zoom up and move it around so I could kind of see what it's going to be doing. I want to be able to see what it's doing, so I'll leave it at about there. Then over here it shows you the pattern that it's going to do. So it's called twirl because it twirls. It basically twirls what you did. So I like that. I'm going to say okay. So you can see it did not affect the gradient. Now I could do the gradient. So I'm going to click on the gradient, and I think I'm going to twirl that too. So let's go back to distort, and I'm going to hit twirl, and you can see I can twirl that as well, and I think that looks pretty cool. Actually, you know what I want to do is I think I want to do it the opposite way. Oh wait, that was the opposite way. Yeah, I want to do the opposite way of the top one. So that's what we have. And this top one, I think I'm going to make it smaller. And the way that I do that is I click on the move tool, and then I make sure that this show transform controls, so you can actually see your controls, and then you can shrink it down, and if you hold down the shift it'll keep the regular shape. And I think what I'm going to do is make a pattern. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply this shape within the window by holding down the Option and Command. Okay. I guess it's not the Option and Command tool. Okay,